Matchday 34 was underway with a nail-biting Norwich vs Watford. The end result was 2-1 to Watford. My score prediction was 1-1. We learned that Norwich were hard to shut down on the counter-attack. The possession was fairly evenly shared between both teams, and also both teams need to focus on their defending. This match was between two teams near or fighting to get out of the relegation zone. This was a pivotal match for both teams, as they needed a win to save themselves. As we did not expect, Norwich were controlling the possession and always looked threatening for that extra goal. On the other hand, Watford looked unstoppable on the counter-attack. This game saw Norwich, with an early lead, only lose it a few minutes later. Danny Welbeck drew something spectacular out with that goal. Otherwise, it was just an average game. Nothing special. Matchday 32's second game was between Chelsea and Crystal Palace. The end result was 3-2. My score prediction was 3-0. I thought Chelsea would have hammered Crystal Palace. We learnt Crystal Palace held a great game, and it was a fairly evened out match. Straight out of the gates, Chelsea came firing, scoring two fairly early goals. At this point, you could have thought the end result would have been massive, but Palace fired back shortly after. Towards the end of the game, Chelsea scored again, making the lead harder to reach for Palace. But literally a minute later, Benteke fired a missile into the back of the net. It was too late to come back. It was an all-round fantastic game for Palace, and they should be proud of their efforts. The third game of Matchday 34 brought Arsenal and Leicester together. The end result was a 1-1 draw. My score prediction was 2-2. We learnt Arsenal looked a lot more threatening, and both teams needed to work on their shooting. This was an awesome game with two teams who were desperate for a win. Both of these teams were fighting to play in Champions League or Europa League. Arsenal looks like they couldn't be stopped on the counter-attack. They dominated corners, taking 10-1. The possession was evenly spread out. Both teams will go back to the dressing rooms in disappointment, as Arsenal missed a few sitters and Leicester just weren't good enough. Both teams need to work on their shooting, mainly Arsenal, as they missed a few chances that they should have buried. Arsenal looks the all-round better team on the day, though it was just an average game, nothing special. The fourth game of Matchday 34 brought us West Ham vs Burnley. The end result was 1-0 to Burnley. My score prediction, 2-1 to Burnley. We learnt West Ham are doing really well right now. This game is important for both teams, mainly for West Ham, as they need the points to escape the relegation zone. Also, Burnley want the points to try and push for that Europa League spot. On the day, West Ham had looked a lot better. The Hammers can improve on their shot accuracy, and Burnley needs to work on getting those shots away. And the halfway point for Matchday 34 brought us Man City vs Newcastle. The end result was 5-0 to Man City. My score prediction, 4-0 to Man City. We learnt Man City are in real hot form. City dominated the possession, and Newcastle never stood a chance. The game was one of those games where you feel for Man City's opponent even before the game. Manchester City scored 2 early goals. Since then, they kept piling it on. Manchester dominated the possession, the corners, and everything else. Newcastle can learn a lot from this defeat. Newcastle were poor in defence, and they could only get a few shots away at the other end of the field. Overall, it was a stroll in the park for Man City, and Newcastle just want to eliminate that loss from their minds. Hey guys, thanks for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you like the video, subscribe, and comment down below. Thanks.
Said that it would last, but how come it's the last time?